Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter and welcome to another Star Wars book review. This time for A Crash of Fate written by Zoraida Cordova. This book isn't out until August 6th, but you can pre-order wherever books are sold. So Zoraida is no stranger to Star Wars writing. She was part of a certain point of view compilation of stories. She wrote the Tanaka sister story titled You Owe Me a Ride. And this is part of the Galaxy's Edge initiative of books that are there to flesh out the theme park, which is now open in Disneyland and soon opening in Disney World. So this story is based on these two characters that have an intertwining relationship, Jules and Izzy. At an early age, they grew up on Batuu until one day Izzy's parents took her away off planet to where she ended up growing up several years later through the journeys of space. She was learning the ways of smuggling. That's what her mother's profession was. She learned the hard way of life. Then you had Jules, on the other hand, who ended up staying on Batuu after all these years. He was a farmer. He was just trying to make a living to get by until one day we had Izzy take a smuggling job that actually put her back on Batuu. So she actually does stumble back into the presence of Jules, and they both realize, wow, they are two different people. But through the course of this book and the story, they realize, oh, they actually still have a lot of things in common, and things might work out in the end. So talking about things I liked about this book is, first off, the idea of fate and the idea of, having several years separated between these two characters and the right events, the right kind of circumstances aligned to where they were actually able to see each other again, even though they never thought they would see each other. They always thought about each other, from a very platonic point of view early on in life. Like if they would ever run into each other, they always hoped they would. So to see these events play out to where they were actually able to find each other again was something that is a phenomenon even in life that happens. So I thought that was pretty cool how they, really addressed that whole thing. Another thing that this book did well was the introduction to Galaxy's Edge. So if you aren't going to be able to go to Galaxy's Edge right away like me, this book might help with that kind of a little bit, and you're going to explore all the different aspects of Galaxy's Edge, from Oga's Cantina to Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, to the different stands, to the different places with the pets, and you learn about Savvy's workshop and all these different places. You learn a little bit about, the resistance and the First Order. So from that perspective, this book does a great job of really just helping you. The book is basically almost like a tour guide, but that does kind of lend into my negatives of the book. Is I feel like at times the exploration with Galaxy's Edge seemed like it was a little bit too heavy-handed. It seemed like this book is almost just like a pure advertisement for Galaxy's Edge, which I kind of expected, but the way that they go into detail with specifically naming the cocktails and stuff you can get definitely seemed like they went a little bit too far as like, okay, here's all our drinks, this is the most expensive one, like all this kind of stuff, which is like, yeah, it's cool, but I didn't need to know that much information about it. I thought that there was a lot of time that dwelled on these two characters of Jules and Izzy and about their inner monologues, what they are thinking about each other, and I think that it was overdone just a little bit. Like there was just too much time dwelling. There wasn't enough action, which was another thing I didn't enjoy. Like you get all the way to the end and then there's some action, but 3/4 or most of the book has not enough action for me. For a Star Wars book, I look at a lot of different kind of criteria, and action in a Star Wars book is a necessity. So if there is not enough of action in a Star Wars book, then that doesn't ring true to the overall nature of Star Wars for me. I thought that there was this ridiculous cliffhanger that happened in the last 2 pages of the book, which just felt like out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, this cliffhanger could have been like half of the story, and there wasn't any elaboration on it. Now, I don't know if that means there's going to be a sequel novel, but I thought they should have at least dealt with that certain circumstance for a longer part of the book rather than just leave the reader hanging out of nowhere like that. And overall, I just felt like the book was inconsequential. If I'm reading a Star Wars story, I have a number one mission statement in my mind where it's like, why am I reading this book? What is the purpose of this book existing in the Star Wars canon? Does it explore a certain character that we know? Does it take us to a new place? And yes, it does take us to Galaxy's Edge, which is a brand new place in Star Wars. But I feel like, to me, that wasn't enough. We didn't see any real connections to anything that really was groundbreaking, per se. So, with that being said, I'm going to give Star Wars A Crash of Fate a score of a 5 out of 10. I will say that this book was not meant for me. Simple enough. This is a Star Wars romance novel, so if you guys don't really like romance, I wouldn't really recommend this book, to be honest with you, but some of you might like romance, and this might be your first foray into a Star Wars romance novel, because up until now, we haven't actually had anything like this. So I appreciate that, you know, Lucasfilm is putting a book like this out there for the fans that do like romance. You might like actually enjoy this book. But for that, you know, I will say that it was okay. It wasn't, you know, it didn't blow my mind or anything, but I appreciate that it's there to explore Galaxy's Edge, and I'm looking forward to the other Galaxy's Edge tie-in material. So what'd you guys think of A Crash of Fate? Let me know in the comment section below. Will you be picking this one up? So if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I talk about Star Wars a heck of a lot, so if you enjoyed this review, you can go ahead and support the channel simply by subscribing. That's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.